Married and Unfiltered. I'm Ramon.
And I'm Kia.
And today we're going to be talking about perception versus reality. Like what people see and think that this is what your life is, but in reality, it's something completely different. And for me, I think people perceive me as being a certain kind of way. I think a lot of people think of me as being some church boy. You think of me and you're like, hey, that guy there, he's a good guy. He means well. He loves everybody. He's goofy. He's funny. But the reality is, I'm probably more of a recluse, and I don't like to get involved with a lot of people. And I don't trust people, and I put on a facade, and I make you think that I'm everything you think I am.
I would say I had that perception when I met you, how I told you guys in one of our last podcasts that he was this stand-up gentleman. Oh, I'm gonna ruin his life when we get together. So just this, unless that's just how he wanted me to perceive him, but that was the perception I received from Ramon when I met him.
Like a chameleon. My mother even told me that. She was like, Ramon, you're like a chameleon. You blend in. And you can blend in into any situation, and like you're street smart enough to talk that lingo, and you're intelligent enough to speak articulate, and that makes you a chameleon in her eyes. And I was like,
I think we all have a little bit of chameleon in us because we have to be one way at work. You're one way with your friends. People can call that fake, but I don't see that as fake. I just feel that's blending with your surroundings. I always think back kind of to my childhood where I was definitely raised much different than the people I went to school with, but essentially to be able to not fit in, but to make it through, I had to put on this hard armor a little bit so I wouldn't get too bullied or, hurt too much, because I had to put on this somewhat of facade that, I'm about that life too. Just a little bit, because I ain't about that life. But enough that you wouldn't get ostracized.
Yeah. I remember growing up where, in the hood we had, you had to you couldn't smile too much because you needed to show that you was hard, or, if you went to church too much, they call you a little church boy. You just a little church boy and everything. And growing up, I kind of was. I was a church boy. And I don't have any problem with being called a church boy, because those guys are blessed, and I need all the blessings that I could get. So that never offended me, but what did always offend me was the thought that someone thought I was a soft or a punk because I went to church, because I like to sing, and that was looked at as a sign of weakness. But that's au contraire. That is not a sign of weakness. It's just who I was and who I am and what I enjoyed. And so I think a lot of people think that because it's a certain image that you portray, that this is who you are every day. This is who you are when folks are around you. This is who you are when you're alone. But other times when you're alone, you're a totally different person. And when you're with your loved ones, they see another side of you. And being in the military and being away from my loved ones, I realized that a lot of them don't know me as well as they think they do. And their perception of me versus the reality that I speak to them from time to time is almost like, what happened? Who are you? And so it's become a thing where I feel like I have to now try to let folks know that I've grown. I grew up. I'm grown now. Like this is how I get down nowadays. So, babe, I did enough talking.
Okay.
What about you? Tell me your openings of your perception versus reality concept.
I guess my thoughts on perception versus reality is very much to your point, where people assume you are a certain way because maybe you live a certain lifestyle, or you may not have had the same struggles they have had, but because they don't see, or you don't show your grind, and you don't feel like you have to throw out everything you do or every struggle you've had for people to get it. So I think sometimes, specifically for me, I've always came off to other people as bougie, maybe a little uppity, almost all my life. And I'm not really sure where that came from, but I think I just accepted it and was like, if that's what you think, I mean, shoot, I don't think it's a bad thing. But I'm not quite sure why, but from the back piece, people don't see kind of the things that I had to do to get to where I am today or where I was then. So I get the perception versus reality piece. That's probably one part for me, but the other part is what you see on social media is always going to be a thing for me because I'm not really that big on social media. But I feel like people take what they see and they want their life to be like that, like relationship goals or they see someone's body or how some woman looks and they want to look just like that. I'm like, that's a whole Photoshop. The lady had whole surgery. Like, ain't no way.
She got snatched,
but
bro.
It ain't nothing wrong with that. But it ain't no way that you just did 100 crunches a day, baby, and you got curves like that. It just no way. So I think it's two pieces. It's just your everyday life and what people see from you, but then your perception on social media. So I don't. At the end of the day, I don't think it's anything wrong with you showing who you are or what it is on social media. But I think what hurts and what I see people take away is that they don't feel good enough, because they're comparing themselves to what they see on social media, from what people are doing from a career standpoint all the way down to, like I said, what someone's body looks like.
Yeah. Like a lot of people don't see the grind. So you see a finished product, but you don't see the effort that it took. Like you wasn't with me when I was living in a house full of roaches. Like you wasn't with me there. You wasn't with me when my grandmother passed. You wasn't with me when my grandfather passed. When my great uncle. You wasn't with me shooting in the gym. Basically, you wasn't with me. So all those things that made me who I am today, that I can put a smile on even when I'm not happy, and I can put a smile on even when I should be crying, or I can be strong when you're kind of wondering like how he has it. You don't see me break down an hour before. You don't see me do all that. And so now you think, oh, he got it all figured out. Oh, you may see the nice cars in the garage, but you didn't see the countless months being spent away from my family while tragedy happened. Like that's a part of it. But you don't see that part. And then when you make rank and everything in the military, you think, oh, he got it all figured out. Especially because now he's making more money. But I've seen multiple people go through marital issues that the military don't care about your at-home life. They say they do, but they don't. You bring that stuff to work, they're gonna think you have a problem. And they don't like problems. So how are you gonna fix your problem? You need solid people around you to help you do that. And you don't always have those resources. But you see that person happy and smiling all the time. You see that person grinding and trying to go get it. And trying to be a mentor and be inspirational to somebody else. Meanwhile, you pushing a better car than they are because they got to deal with at-home debt. So this is a passionate subject to me because I want people to understand that it ain't all glitz and glam.
And you shouldn't judge. I think that piece can be kind of hard, but people are judging with what they see and they're making assumptions and it can hurt someone else when you don't even know what's really going on. And so to Ramon's point in the beginning, you don't say anything, you just cover up. But then when you go home, you gotta cry, or you go home, you gotta deal with whatever's going on. So you really shouldn't be judging what's happening, or you should think twice about it with folks.
I remember when Kia was going through a master's program, and I think we said it earlier in another video where I had hyped her up because I was so proud of her, and I still am. It's because that I saw what she went through. I wasn't there for her bachelor's or her associates, but I saw what she went through with going through her master's degree. And I remember people are like, oh, y'all are doing so good. Y'all doing everything right. You're waiting to have a baby. Y'all established. But y'all don't know what this woman had to go through just to find me. Just to find me. And I say
Why am I
that.
about to cry? My eyes watering.
I said it because before she, and not saying I'm a great guy, because I'm flawed, but she went through some stuff before she even met me. She had a not good relationship with somebody else before she was with me. But that prepared her for me. But no one wants to talk about how that made her feel, the struggle that she had to deal with, the uncertainty of spending 6 years of her life with somebody that ain't with her today, because I am. And then help her understand that I ain't that dude.
And I'm worth it. I think that was the
And
hardest.
you are more than worth
The hardest thing was adjusting to the fact that I am worth it. But that's a whole other subject.
That subject got her teary.
I know, my eyes are watering.
But no one saw her go through that. And they just see the thing on the outside. And
Yeah.
and she has a story. Coming from a 2-parent household, and I'm coming from I don't even know what you call it, like a dysfunctional household. It was dysfunctional. I don't care how anyone wants to put it. And family, if you watching this, y'all know what it is. And coming from that, like I saw what a family looked like. But I thought the Huxtables was Family Matters. I thought Family Matters was just on TV. And then when I met her family, I was like, oh, your daddy got everything.
It's legit.
He got every tool you can ever think of. He got it. That's awesome. And I'm like, oh man, y'all nice and loving. This is a beautiful family. I want to be a part of it. But nobody saw. I ain't saying nobody saw, but I didn't see the hard work that he put in to make that family what it is, to make me want to be a part of it.
And you know what I love about my parents too is they never let us see that. They never let us see them fight. My mom did not curse legit. You can ask my sister. Cursed till I was 18 years old. And when she said it, I looked, what you say? So like, I think the reason why I'm saying this is because they wanted us to feel like we were safe and we were comfortable and there weren't any issues. But the perception was what everybody says, everything's so perfect. But I knew there was some stuff going on. I knew my parents, had some counseling at one point, and I'm not ashamed to say that because I think everybody should have counseling. I knew there was a possible form of divorce at one point. I remember that because my mom didn't work, there was money issues. But they never let us see that, and I really didn't. None of that really like came to light till I was a teenager, 16 or something like that. But they really let us perceive that we good. The four of us is good. Things are great. You know what I'm saying? Don't you guys have to worry about it, because as mom and dad, they're gonna take care of it. So that's a big ups and props to my family for giving us that life that I think every child kind of has. Every child should have a little bit. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah. Another thing that comes to mind is as adults, we have a tendency to look across the street and see what other people are doing, and feel like we can be doing those same things.
Comparing yourself, right?
Comparing yourself, trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
And even, I ain't gonna lie, I sometimes get caught up with it, especially when I see some dude doing stuff outside the house. I'm like, maybe I should be doing something like that. But then I realize I don't like doing that type of stuff. But I feel bad that I don't like doing it. So I sometimes be like, oh, you out there cut the grass? Well, you know what? I can cut the grass too. But then when he started climbing on ladders, I'm like, that's the birds.
But we don't know what's happening in their house.
You don't know what's going on in their house.
You know, like maybe that's their livelihood. Maybe that's what maybe the wife does all the work and the husband, does the house things. Like we just don't know. So us trying to fit these molds that society says we're supposed to, or that we feel like we're supposed to, because when we see it, is beating yourself up for no reason. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. I see single fathers as well And I'm always gonna go back to single fathers because that's what my heart is. Single fathers are, you don't think of them as being single fathers. You think of, oh, where's your wife? Where's your baby mother? And dude says, I'm a single father. And then you start thinking like, how he get them kids? Like perception automatically is that he either A, is an amazing guy, or B, the baby mother is a bad woman. And why can't the perception be, this is an amazing father, the end? The end. Like, why is there a caveat to it?
It's like, why are you trying to find?
Why are you trying to find something wrong with this situation?
Yeah.
And because I'm somebody's baby daddy, I'ma always go back to that. Like, yeah, the perception of me sometimes is that I don't care about my son and I put other things over him. The reality is, if you walked a mile in my shoes, you probably want to trade after you get by 0.25 down the road. So, babe, what about these myths? So there are a lot of myths about, you know, what people think a relationship is supposed to be.
Okay.
What do you think some of these myths
are? To this day, I don't care how modernized we are and how we're in the 21st century. A woman is supposed to keep house and a man is supposed to go work. And I think that's one of the biggest myths, in my personal opinion, out there. And I don't care how much people try to fight it and say, oh, that's not true, I don't feel that way, I can do it on my own. It always comes back to that, because a woman, we're groomed to be beautiful and be great and to look and to catch a man, basically, and to keep a man. You know, I remember hearing the best way to keep a man is it cooking? It's cooking to his stomach. Yeah, that's how it goes. To his stomach. And you know, you kind of gain these things growing up as a child, as a girl. I can't say how a guy situation is, but as a girl, and it's kind of instilled in your head a little bit, and you almost have to fight that feeling. But that perception is not like our reality anymore. Our reality is you need a 2 household. Shit, you might need 3 people in the household. Like, the reality is that we are not in that. Women are much stronger than they once were. Women have more voice than they once did. So women can step up and do more. The reality is, women, I'm gonna say this, specifically Black women, are the most educated women in America. So we want to drive those careers. We want to focus on those goals that we have. But we also want someone to love us and take care of us. But I think because now, going back to perception, people feel like a woman kind of has to take a step back at times. Is they don't get those things achieved because a man is supposed to do that. So I would just say that's like probably one of my biggest perception versus reality.
Do you think that's fair?
No, not at all. But it's just what's the thing you call like a stereotype? I can't think of the word, y'all. So anyway,
that's what society says. The roles are supposed to be. Like you said, a father can be a nurturer.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why can't a father be stay at home?
Because I can't lactate? Is that why? Like, you got formula. Like, I don't need to lactate. Like, why can't I be a nurturer? I'll wait.
So getting out of like those society, so-called society norms, and people perceiving how you are supposed to be and how, I guess, a relationship should look. So that's the one thing I would really say. What would you say about it? Maybe specifically to us, what would you say?
I say, man,
perception versus reality.
People think that she's an angel and I am sneaky.
I'll take being an angel.
I can be sneaky, but I don't understand that perception because I am always like supporting of my wife. There's no reason for me to be sneaky.
Yeah, I can see people saying, yeah.
Like,
Okay.
like kind of like once they get to know me, they say, "Oh, he's cool. He's a little wild." And I'm like, "Yeah, but now sneaky ain't what you're talking about no more, is it?" Like get to know me before you judge me.
Get to know anybody before you judge them.
Absolutely. You'll come to find out that I'm actually very, what's the word? Kind, nice.
Down to earth.
Yeah. I care about, most times I care about people before myself. But people don't really get a chance to see that because you judge my exterior.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna add one more thing too. I would say, like, I think people say this thing about us being, I hate to use the word perfect, but I'm like, why would people say that?
Who's
But
that?
People on the streets.
Oh, people in these streets.
People on the street. But when I say perfect, I think it goes back to what Ramon said, like, oh, you did it this way, this way, this way, this way. So everything is great. You know, when people say you're doing it the right way, it's like, I'm doing the way that works for me. So
It's more. It's multiple ways of doing something. Right?
yeah, exactly. And like, I don't fault anybody for having children early. I don't fault anybody for getting married at an early age or a super late age, because that's what worked for you. You get your degree at 45 years old. Do you, boo? Because you making things happen for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, for this idea that, oh, you went to college and oh, then you got married, now you're about to have a kid. Oh, that's just so perfect. You just did everything like you're supposed to. And I'm like, okay. But in between that, some stuff y'all don't know. And you know, why I had, you know, how I even got to this point, and some of those sacrifices and decisions I had to make to be here. But it was all on my accord and my decisions and what it is that I wanted, specifically for me. Can't say for you, like, as we lit up to us meeting and things, but I did it on my terms.
Yeah. I remember when we was first dating, people would say, "Oh man, y'all like the same person. She's you as a female, and you're him as a dude." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like y'all like, you know, y'all mad compatible." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." It was like, no, not like just compatible. Like y'all like the same person switched. And I'm like, "What you mean?" And then it took me a while to really realize, yeah, like this is my help me. This is my rib right here. Like I feel it sometimes when when since she's pregnant and her stomach be hurting, I be feeling it. It is in my ribs. It's my rib right here, like my left rib, I think. Sometimes it switch, but you know how babies do.
She be on my right side.
Yeah, she told you on my right side, but I said that. But hey, I want to say thank you. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for all the support. We do greatly appreciate it. And you know how to do it, babe.
Okay. Like, subscribe, and check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Married and Unfiltered.
And we just dropped the Twitter on that head.
Oh, see, I don't even have Twitter.
Yeah,
Oh, I should say at Twitter and on Twitter.
And on Twitter.
Don't forget, at Married and Unfiltered.
You know what I'm saying? Do that.